And join me in the council prayer. Dear God, today as this session opens, we pray that your presence will be before us and everyone who serves in the decision-making process of our city. We pray for direction which will lead our city to be strong and unified. May we continue the legacy of our founders. May we be granted this day the wisdom to make decisions which will be for the good of our city. We also pray for your special blessing on all those who are working to transform our city and make it a better place to live and work. Amen. Please join me now in honoring America. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Again, good evening, and thank you all for being here. Roll call, please.
Councilor Murphy?
Here.
Councilor Broderick?
Here.
Councilor Caulfield?
Here.
Councilor Dakota?
Here.
Councilor Elliott?
Here.
Councilor Martin?
Here.
Councilor Mendonça?
Here.
Councilor Mercier?
Here.
Mayor Milanazzo?
Here.
9 present.
9 present. Chair recognizes Councilor Caulfield.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. I'm requesting a moment of silence with darkened chambers for Arthur F. Dyett, Jr., retired Sergeant, Lowell Police Department. A loving and devoted husband, father, grandfather, a highly decorated officer serving the city of Lowell for over 35 years. In 1976, Mr. Dyett was named Policeman of the Year, and in 1991 was awarded the full knighthood by His Majesty King Bowden of Belgium for his lifelong dedication to all veterans in all countries. And also for Christopher P. Quigley, a loving and devoted husband, father, grandfather, a veteran of World War II. He served in the United States Navy aboard the USS Chicago in the Pacific Theater. Mr. Quigley was the division head of the Mechanical and Structural Engineering with Boston Edison for over 35 years. And Mr. Mayor, he was way above his time. He addressed the emission controls way before we even thought of doing it. He was way ahead of his time. Besides his wife Rita, he is survived by 9 children, and his son David Quigley is a Lowell police officer serving the city of Lowell. May they rest in peace.
Thank you, Councilor Caulfield. Councilor Rita Mercier.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to offer a moment of silence in darkened chamber for John Jack Keefe, a resident of the Christian Hill neighborhood section of the Centerville area, beloved husband of the late Mary Keefe, whom he shared 53 years of marriage. After graduation from Lowell High School, Jack served with the United States Army during the Korean War. Jack and Mary were involved in St. Michael's Parish. Jack also directed the annual St. Michael's CYO shows, as well as directed the very popular St. Patrick's Church Variety Show and the Franco-American show, of which Councilors Caulfield, former Councilor Armin Mercier, and myself often took part in. He leaves behind his 2 sons, John and David, and a granddaughter, Jessica. He and Mary were well loved, and Jack will truly be missed. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Mercier. Councilor Caulfield.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. If I may, I'd like to say a few words about Jack Keefe. He was a very compassionate, very dedicated, very talented person, a tremendous tenor voice, and his wife Mary and Jack would put on shows, St. Patrick's Church, as Councilor Mercy indicated, St. Michael's, all through Greater Lowell. Raised thousands upon thousands of dollars for children and churches and so forth. But he did it with so much love, so much caring. And I attended many of the shows at the auditorium. 3,500 people enjoyed those shows immensely. Father Conway, Father O'Connell, they were in those shows, and I'll tell you, they were 2 comedians that could make you really laugh. But Jack Keefe was very instrumental, along with his wife Mary, to producing many, many shows that people enjoyed, and it was extremely entertaining. And I know that Jack and Mary are in heaven now, probably putting on shows for the good Lord. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Caulfield. May we all rise now in a moment of silence in darkened chambers. May they rest in peace. Thank you.
Great guy.
Okay, thanks.
Again, good evening. We're opening tonight's council meeting with a presentation from the Division of Planning and Development regarding the master plan and the sustainability economic development plan that was worked on over the past year. We do have some citations and awards to give out this evening. Just by way of background, over the past year, the Planning and Development Office, working with the City Council, did embark to update the city's comprehensive master plan, looking specifically at economic development projects, social and environmental sustainability. And we actually had our first sustainability week, and what we did is we had a photography contest where we reached out to collect images of residents' favorite places throughout the city to include in the new master plan. The contest, as we all know, ran from April through September. We had 113 photographs were submitted under 6 contest categories. And tonight we're going to be recognizing the grand prize winner, who, by the way, gets a season pass to the 2012 Lowell Summer Music Series. And then the other 5 category winners will actually be featured and given a citation from the council this evening. I know that Allegra Williams from the Planning and Development Office does have a presentation. Did you want to do the presentation first, to look at the photos, or do you want to do them as we go through the awards? Go through during the awards. That's fine. Let me begin with the overall grand prize winner, Ashley Cantrell, who is, I believe, Ashley is here. Thank you for being here. By the way, Ashley is studying environmental science at Middlesex Community College and is active in local arts and cultural scene here in Lowell. You're looking at some of her work. She participated in the backyard beekeeping workshop during Lowell Sustainability Week, and then went on to become a summer intern with the Department of Planning and Development, where she helped to organize the public visioning process of the sustainability plan. Ashley set an example of how we can incorporate the principles and practices of sustainability into our daily lives now and in the future, and we're very pleased to present this first place grand prize award to Ashley Cantrell, along with the citation. Be it hereby known to all in the City of Lowell and the Commonwealth of Massachusetts hereby congratulates Ashley Cantrell for achieving the grand prize in the Sustainability Snapshot Contest, entering her 119 Gallery vertical garden mural that we can see here. The City of Lowell commends the dedication of Ashley Cantrell for her commitment to the community. The entire City of Lowell extends its deepest wishes to Ashley for continued success, given this first day of November 2011 by James L. Molinazzo and the entire City Council here in the City of Lowell. So it's my pleasure now to present the grand prize, which is the, let me just make sure I have this correct. Which is the Summer Music Series, correct? Summer Music Series. Let me just present this. As I said, we had 5 other category winners. The first one does go to Jane Albert for Historic Resources and Architecture. You'll see some of Jane's work up on the screen. She entered her trolley and steeple photo. I don't believe Jane is here this evening, but this is some of her work that was recognized as well. Under Transportation and Mobility, Donald Hogan, Aiken Street Bridge. I have a citation. Be it hereby known to all in the City of Lowell and the Commonwealth of Massachusetts hereby congratulates Donald Hogan for transportation and mobility in the Sustainability Snapshot Contest, entering his Aiken Street Bridge photo. The City of Lowell commends the dedication of Donald Hogan for his commitment to the City of Lowell. The entire City of Lowell extends its deepest wishes to Donald for continued success, given this first day of November 2011. James L. Molinazzo, Mayor. If I can present this to Donald. Exercise tonight. Under Public Parks and Waterways, Deb Forgione, Historic Pawtucket Falls. Thank you, Deb, for participating. Be it hereby known to all in the City of Lowell and the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, hereby congratulates Deb Forgione for Public Parks and Waterways in the Sustainability Snapshot contest entering her historic Pawtucket Falls photo. The City of Lowell commends the dedication of Deb for her commitment to the community. The entire City of Lowell extends its deepest wishes to Deb Forgione for continued success given this first day of November 2011 by James L. Molinazzo, the Mayor. Deb, it's my pleasure to present. Under the category of local business and institutions, Nom Karen, detail of the Lowell 5-cent Savings Bank. You can see on the screen. Again, be it hereby known to all in the City of Lowell, hereby congratulates Nom Karen for local businesses and institutions in the Sustainability Snapshot Contest, entering his detail of Lowell 5-cent Savings Bank photo. The City of Lowell commends the dedication of Nom Karen for his commitment to the community. The entire city extends its deepest wishes to Nom for continued success given this first day of November. Nom? And last but certainly not least, under cultural traditions and identities, Mary Cutter, Summer in the City. You can see this photo on the screen. Again, be it hereby known to all in the City of Lowell, hereby congratulates Mary Cutter for cultural traditions and identities in the Sustainability Snapshot Contest, entering her Summer in the City photo. The City of Lowell commends the dedication of Mary Cutter for her commitment to this community. The entire city extends its deepest wishes to Mary for continued success, again, given this first day of November 2011. Mary? At this point, would Adam and/or Allegra like to say anything about the presentation or the award ceremony? I just want to thank you on behalf of my colleagues for the good work and the outreach that was done to bring us to tonight's event.
Sure. Just very briefly, we just want to really extend our appreciation and sincere gratitude to all of the folks who participated in this contest, and certainly the award winners will grace the pages of the updated master plan and sustainability plan, but also a lot of the other really fantastic photographs that were submitted will as well. It is truly remarkable to see from all of this how much the people of Lowell really appreciate and take pride in their city, and I think this was really a tremendous show of that. Right. So,
well, thank you. Thank you. Again, thank you all very much. The first item on the agenda, we have 3 sets of minutes. The first from the council meeting of October 25th. We also have the Economic Development Subcommittee meeting from October 25th, and the Ad Hoc Clerk Oversight Subcommittee October 18th for acceptance. Does anybody have any comments or questions? Councilor Mendonça, move approval. Second by Councilor Broderick. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, it's a vote. Thank you. Moving right on to unfinished business. Let me just read this, that the City Council implement all steps necessary procedurally and otherwise to fill the open position of City Clerk. In your packets, we did forward the 15 resumes that had been reviewed by the HR department. So I guess I would open it up for discussion at this particular point in time. Councilor Mercia?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm not saying what I'm going to say is the law or the Bible or whatever, but first off, let's say we started with about 125 resumes and it was whittled down to 15. I think that in the past on how we ever did something, and you don't have to agree, but it was an idea that I remembered from other times, that we each take our 5 choices out of the 15, and then after you get everybody's 5 choices, you can figure it out, the top 5 vote getters on, like if 3 of us pick the same person, and that's a high number, then we narrow it down to like 5 more, and I think that's how we've done it. We each submit our top 5 choices. I don't know if
I
you
believe we
want-
did that for the city auditor and the city manager the last time we went through the
I
process.
found that to be pretty worthwhile.
Okay. Councilman Mendoza?
Just a question to you, Mr. Mayor. We have a pile of additional resumes. Are these all of the remaining applicants, or?
I don't
What
know what was
subset
left
of
on
it?
your desk. I know up here that I did get some more resumes, and these are all of the additional applicants.
Yeah, I didn't know if these were all the additional applicants, or if these are ones that met the minimum requirements.
These were all the additional applicants,
All
as
additional,
I
okay.
understand it.
I did review the 15 sent to me, which left me wanting to see more. So I understand what Councilor Mercer is saying, but I don't want to, at this time, limit it to the 15 if we have the ability to go through these others and pick from there. I don't mind the limit of 5 for each council to recommend. That's fine with me. But I'd like to pick the 5 from
Sure.
after seeing these others to see what there is, not just from the first 15.
Okay, I guess where I would like to try to end up with this is to have the council schedule a special meeting of the whole to review the resumes and bring back a ranking, at which time we would then, I think, vote on whatever number we choose, be it 5 or 10, whatever number to be interviewed, and then we'll, through the mayor's office and the HR department, we'll schedule those interviews. Councilor Caulfield, did you, oh, no, okay.
Mr. Mayor, as far as I'm concerned, interview the 15. I don't have a problem with that. To interview 5 out of 15, it sounds a little bit unfair. That's my feelings.
Thank you. Councilor Broderick.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm going to propose maybe a hybrid of, a combination of the two, in that we open it up to all the resumes, since we do have them, and maybe we do 10. That would take, maybe 3 nights, 2 or 3 nights, depending on when we can schedule it, or a Saturday. But I think that opens it. Given the sheer volume of the applicants, I think that it's sometimes it's tough to judge on paper. They're going to look very similar, but I think that would be my preference, maybe to do 10.
I think if all 9 of us rank our top 10, and then we may come back and we may have, more than 10, and then we can whittle it down based upon a discussion as a body.
I would make that in the form of a motion if it's appropriate now.
Okay, second, motion to have the council go through all of the resumes, and we'll schedule a special meeting to come up with at least 10 to interview. Any further discussion? Roll call.
Councilor Murphy?
Yes.
Councilor Broderick?
Yes.
Councilor Caulfield?
Yes.
Councilor Dakota?
Yes.
Councilor Elliott?
Yes.
Councilor Martin?
Yes.
Councilor Mendoza?
Yes.
Councilor Mercier?
Yes.
Mayor Milonazo?
Yes. At this point, let me again thank the Mary Callery and the HR department for doing quite a bit of work, and number one, logging all of these resumes in and shortlisting it initially, but then also providing what we did receive in way of interest from applicants and provide them to the council. So again, on behalf of the council, I just want to thank Mary and the people in the HR department. Thank you. We'll schedule that meeting. I'll work with the clerk's office. Moving on to the city manager's agenda, responses to city council motions and requests. Councilor Caulfield.
It's not a motion or request. I just want to compliment the manager and the DPW, the intersection of Central Middlesex Street and the additional paving. Mr. Manager, what an improvement. And the traffic flows through there nice and smooth. There's no rockety bumpies traveling, so I just want to say thank you. I'm very happy that it's done. I know Councilman Mendoza brought that motion in, then I brought it up with another motion, but that was a bump in the road, and now it's no longer exists, so thank you.
Thank you. Manager Lynch?
Thank you, Councilor. And we were anxious to get that project done, and both councilors made a motion to that effect, and it was something that was on our horizon that we wanted to try to work on. And the additional infusion of Chapter 90 money this year came in very handy. But I think what was particularly notable about the project, beyond the end result, was that this project was actually conducted by and implemented by our DPW. And by that I mean that they actually went out there and did the work. And this was something that the guys at the DPW were very excited to have the opportunity to actually go out there and get in and actually do the heavy construction work out there. They brought in the necessary equipment. They did the work. It was probably one of the largest projects that our DPW has done in many years. They do a lot of great work around the city. We count on them for our snow removal and snow operations and, storm operations. But in terms of construction projects, this was one that they were really excited to do, and they did it, and they actually saved us a considerable sum of money. When we bid this out, it came in at a cost. We had a cost estimate that I think I produced to the city council. I believe I gave you that number a while back. When we actually tried to get the costs in from our contractor, they came in higher because there were certain items that were not included in our bid that we had to get additional costs for, and we made the decision to do the work in-house. And they did a remarkable job. They did a great job. They enjoyed the project, and we look forward to doing that type of work with them in the future. And as I explained to some people, we've outsourced our cemetery operations, and we've certainly privatized certain functions. But there's a number of functions here that we want to start bringing in-house as well. So when it makes sense to do it one way, we do it. If it makes sense to do it the other, we'll do it that way too. But I thank you for the compliments.
Well,
I will pass those on.
Big improvement to vehicle traffic, huge improvement. And while I'm on the subject, Mr. Mayor, I didn't file a motion on this, but it's germane to this. I'd like to see...
But Councilor Coffey, I will let you go down that path, but and I appreciate the recognition and the thank you, but that too was not on the agenda. So, I mean, again, just to be fair, but if you want to go forward with something
yes,
that's related.
So many times Mass Highway comes into our city, and along 495, they had a huge project. They rebuilt 3 bridges. The traffic never, ever was impeded by it. The traffic flowed. And I'd like to see the city send a thank you to Mass Highway, because many times they come in and do a great job, and we don't even give them a thank you. So I'd like to see the city council, mayor, and the manager send them a thank you for the great work they did on 495.
Thank you. Councilor Broder, did you have your hand up?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor, through you. We had a memorandum on the desk this evening from Mr. Moses regarding the cash reconciliation, and I wanted to make a motion to refer that and ask, it looks like Mr. Sullivan from Melanson and Heath has offered to come in, referred to, I think, was the Finance Subcommittee that met on this earlier, and we were going to come back. It's good news, Mr. Manager. Maybe you can give an update for folks at home, but if we could, I'd like to make a motion to refer this to the Finance Subcommittee.
Motion to refer to the Finance Subcommittee, seconded by Councilor Dakota. All those in favor of referring the report on the June 30th, 2011 cash reconciliation, signify by saying aye.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
I want to ask some questions on, just some preliminary questions.
Before we send it?
Yeah, well, yes.
Okay. Councilor Elliott.
The original estimate, I think, from Sullivan, the power, Dick Sullivan, was they couldn't reconcile $500,000. The memo indicates it's down to 271. But there's no way of identifying that balance. We're not going to be able to reconcile that 271, or is it 250?
Mr. Manager?
I'll refer that to...
Okay. Madam Auditor?
At this point in time, we only have the rough estimates. We don't have all the detail. So
Right.
until we get the detail, we won't know. Odds are that it's general fund revenues, in fact, because everything does go through the general fund. So the intention is right now to set up the reserve within the general fund and hold it there to the end of the fiscal year. And as we go through and reconcile each month, making sure that we have that consistent variance, we can then close it at the end of fiscal 12
Okay, what are you going to close it from and to?
to the general fund.
Okay, so there's 271,000 less than it should be according to this.
It's actually
No,
more.
the opposite is
It's
true.
the opposite. It's more.
It shows our general ledger includes about 271,000 less cash than it should.
Correct.
So we got 270.
Which means we will be increasing the cash in the general fund by 271,000.
Okay. How can you be doing that throughout the rest of the year? What about the prior years? Is that where you just started the cash book? You just decided,
Correct.
what cutoff date did you decide to recreate the cash book? Or did Melanson and Heath?
Melanson and Heath did.
When did they?
They reconciled all the outstanding checks, all the outstanding warrants,
How many years?
June 30th.
Through June 30th of this year?
It's collective up to June 30th.
Okay, what about the prior years? Back to 99?
They
It
put
just
a
is-
stake in the sand, counted up what we had in the bank, then did all the outstanding checks and outstanding warrants.
What date was that? Where did they put the stake in
June
this?
30th at the end of the
This
fiscal
year?
year. Correct.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Mercia, then Councilor Mendoza.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This evening, we did receive a very new, updated regulation.
I'm sorry, we didn't take a vote on referring that.
Oh.
But let me hear from Councilor Mendoza, because he wanted to talk on that subject.
I did want to clarify that 271,000 because it was kind of a double negative, so it was a little confusing at first. But the bottom line, I believe is what's stated, is that the city actually has $271,000 more in cash after we reconcile than the general ledger first appeared to show, correct?
That is correct.
So it's a positive for the city. We have more cash because there are disbursements that hadn't been cleared or removed from the ledger. All right, so we have more money. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else on that topic before we? Okay. All those in favor of referring it to the Finance Subcommittee signify by saying aye. Opposed, it's a vote. Councilor Mercia, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We did get a very new, updated regulations for the cemeteries, and I'm very happy with the board. They took a lot of things that was discussed at that meeting into consideration. The cemetery prefers natural flowers in this immediate buffer zone, but they will allow high-quality silk flowers to be used if you want to do that. And they will accept a condition of one vigil candle or one solar light. They will also talk about the personal items will be limited to that buffer zone in front of the stone or on the base of the monument. Up to 3 personal or seasonal items may be placed there. So they did mark a lot of things that we discussed, and I really am pleased and want to thank them. So I'm asking if people wanted to pick up one of these, would there be enough available to anyone that would come in to the cemetery office to pick up one of these?
They will have those at the cemetery office. I don't know if they currently have them, but they will have enough for anyone that wants to pick them
Well,
up.
that'd be nice, and so I want to thank everybody involved in looking at that and retooling it a bit. And if I could just talk about one more thing, my motion, and we got a response on our desk when I asked about ways to expedite the 5-month backlog and regarding the water hearings. And Mr. Manager, you did provide us with a report, and there appears that the Water Board will work expeditiously to try to get through all the cases. There's 40 cases pending, and they'll be hearing it in October, November, and December. And they'll try to schedule a second hearing if necessary in December if there's any backlogs there. So we're going to try to, lessen that. So that's a good thing. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Anyone, Councilor Mendoza?
Yes, this is regarding the Q1 financial review provided by Mr. Moses through the city manager. And overall, it seems we're on target in both expenses and revenues. I'd like to refer this, and I have one concern just to highlight that going forward, but I'd like to refer this to the Finance Subcommittee.
Motion by Councilor Mendoza, second by Councilor Broderick to refer Mr. Moses' FY 2012 first quarter review to the Finance Subcommittee. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
And the one concern I have is in the wastewater enterprise fund, and that it's running an operating deficit of almost $3.5 million, and it just seems to increase gradually over the years to $4 million, and obviously that's not sustainable. And it'll run through its reserves in the next 2 years, and then we'll have an actual operating deficit that'll have to be funded. So that's a great concern for me because it's such a large operating deficit that in going before the Finance Subcommittee, I'd like to have some way either to possibly increase their revenues somehow by, like, the septage they receive, although the report indicates that has plateaued, so we maybe cannot look for any more revenues there. And if that's not the case, then find a way to reduce some of our costs in any way possible to reduce the deficit and down the road reduce the fee increases that might be needed to run this at a break-even point. I believe that, like the Water Enterprise Fund, we'd want to have a balance, a reserve balance of $1 million roughly every year that we don't dip below except by small amounts and then recover. But this is clearly going to exhaust the reserves, and then we're going to have a major deficit going forward. And it needs to be addressed sooner rather than later.
Okay, thank you, Councilman Donza. Anything else on Council Murphy?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. There was a communication in this week's packet that recognized the City of Lowell, the state of Massachusetts recognized the City of Lowell for outstanding environmental and energy achievement, based largely upon one of the important votes that we took last year to go through with the Amoresco contract as a creative way to really fund our capital expenditures out of the savings that was gained from the energy improvements. And 47 city-owned buildings, many of them schools, were able to be basically addressed through this program. And out of that, really realized the Green Communities designation, because without that project, we wouldn't have met the third criterion of the Green Communities Act, which was to reduce our carbon emissions by 20% over 5 years. So I think it was a notable achievement that we were one of 4 communities recognized by the state.
Thank you, Council Murphy. Mr. Manager?
I just want to thank the councilor for bringing that up. We did go down to Boston to the State House last week and receive the award along with the 3 other communities and a few other recipients, individual recipients, and it was very nice to get down there and hear many of the communities that were there and many of the individuals that were there be very proud that they were spoken of in the same category as the City of Lowell. And this project certainly did receive quite a bit of attention at the state level because of the amount of carbon emissions that were being eliminated, and the innovative way in which we move forward to do this. So we have issued a press release on this. We're hoping to get some positive attention to the good work that our city staff has done in moving this project forward.
Thank you. Anything else on council motions and requests at this point? Hearing none, motion by Councilman Donza, seconded by Councilor Caulfield to accept the communications and place on file. All those in favor indicate by saying aye. Opposed, it's a vote. Next item on the agenda, we have out-of-state travel. We only have one. Oh, I'm sorry.
Mr. Mayor, we do have a presentation from a drug discount company, Needy Meds, regarding the launch of a discount card program. This is a response to a motion by Councilor Murphy that we reported on some time ago, and we've been working on with Needy Meds if we could just have 5 minutes or less to give a presentation to the council on the Needy Med program, and we hope to roll this out in the city to the benefit of the citizens to save them money. It's a program that's been used in Gloucester and is being coordinated in a number of other organizations as well.
Thank you. My name is Rich Sagal. I am from Gloucester. I want to thank you for this opportunity to speak before the council, and I want to acknowledge your concern for the citizens of Lowell who are having trouble affording the cost of medications and your efforts to deal with this problem through a drug discount card. Very briefly, I run a national nonprofit in Gloucester called Needy Meds, and we do two things. We supply information on programs for people who can't afford medications and healthcare costs, and we also have a free drug discount card. And I'll be talking about the card, but I'm happy to take any questions if there's about the programs or anything like that. This is what your card is going to look like, although it will be about this size. It is a free card that anyone can use. It's accepted at over 60,000 pharmacies. It offers up to an 80% savings off the cash price of prescription medicines, over-the-counter medicines and medical supplies written like a prescription, and pet prescription drugs you buy in the pharmacy. There are no eligibility requirements or guidelines. Anyone can use it regardless of age, income, insurance status, or residency status. Obviously, it will be a big help for anyone who has no health insurance. For those people that have health insurance, they can use it if they're on a medication that is not covered by their insurance, if they have a high deductible, a low cap, and sometimes it will provide a better price than a co-payment. We are working with the city manager's office to establish a program to distribute the card throughout the city to everybody. You never can tell who's going to use it. My wife saved on over-the-counter medicines, went from $25 to $20 by just showing this card. In Gloucester, a city of roughly 30,000, as I like to say, in a state where everyone's supposed to have health insurance, in 2 years, we have saved people in the city approximately $300,000. That's real cash savings. The card has been presented or used close to around 10,000 times. So that's a savings of roughly $30 at a crack. Sometimes the savings is pennies, to be honest. Other times we've seen savings of hundreds of dollars with the card. Every drugstore around accepts it. We've checked the drugstores here in town against the list. All the information is on our website, and I believe you have some information about Needy Meds in the website. As part of the program, each time the Lowell card is used and a savings occurs, we're going to be setting aside 25 cents for the city to use any way it deems it wishes to. We prefer it to be used for health-related projects. In Gloucester, we've used it to buy vaccines, to pay for material in terms of drug abuse education, et cetera. The program costs the city absolutely nothing. We're not asking for any money. This is part of our mission, which is to help people who can't afford their medications and healthcare costs, and this is one way that we do it. In September, the last month that we have figures for, nationally we save people over $875,000, and we're expecting to break the $1 million per month mark pretty soon. In a nutshell, that's the program. Unfortunately, due to some production problems, these cards are not quite ready. I did bring some other cards which are a little different in design, but they do have the right numbers on them, and these can be used anytime. After the meeting, you could take it to a pharmacy if it's open and use it. Roughly 60–65% of the time when the card is presented, there is a savings, not every time. I'll stop there and see if there's any questions. I could go on for hours.
Thank you very much for being here. This, again, was in response to Councilor Murphy's motion. Yes, Councilor Caulfield.
I want to thank the gentleman for being here, but where would the residents of the city obtain that card?
Where will they obtain it? We're planning to do a press release, get in the paper. We are going to be doing a mailing to 50, 60 different sites in town. In Gloucester, for example, it's at City Hall, Health Department, Library, Senior Citizen Center. We've been at flu shot clinics to give it out. The hospital gives it out. The Y gives it out. So we're going to get this to every place we can, wherever there are patients or people who may be able to benefit from it. I always have my pocket full of cards. Whenever I'm talking to somebody, I bring it up. Every time I get in a taxi, any place in the country, I say, do you have health insurance? Uniformly, the drivers say no. I give them a card. They look at me a little quizzically at first. When I explain it, they all want half a dozen or more. So it's really a matter of getting it out, and I hope that everybody here, once we get the official cards in, we'll start giving them out to people because it's just such a good deal. There is no catch. We're tempted to call the card the no-catch drug discount card because there is no catch. There's no cost, and it's all anonymous. Every card that we distribute in the city will have the same set of numbers as on this one, so we will not know who is using the card or what medications they're getting.
Thank you. Any other questions? Thank you very much. Motion to accept the report as a report of progress by Council Murphy, seconded by Council Martin. All those in favor indicate by saying aye. Opposed, it's a vote. Again, thank you very much for being here.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next item on the agenda is a communication from the city manager, out-of-state travel. We have one this evening, Lowell Police Department. Any questions, comments? What's the wish of the motion by Councilman Mendonça, seconded by Council Mercia to approve the out-of-state travel request? Roll call.
Yes.
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 Councilor Martin?
Yes.
Councilor Mendonça?
Yes.
Councilor Mercia?
Yes.
Mayor Milonazo?
Yes.
9 yeas.
Thank you. The next item, in City Council vote authorizing the city manager to execute a memorandum of understanding with the Portuguese American Civic League of Lowell relative to the demolition of property located at 520 and 522 to 524 Central Street in the city of Lowell. Whereas the Portuguese American Civic League of Lowell owns the property at 520 Central Street, which is recorded in Middlesex North District Registry of Deeds in Book 8525, page 286. And whereas the city of Lowell ordered said property demolished April 27, 2010, which order was recorded in Middlesex North Registry of Deeds, Book 23906, page 164, on April 28, 2010. And whereas this property shares a common structural wall with 522 Central Street, and whereas the Portuguese American Civic League of Lowell has provided a check in the amount of $18,789.50, which equals half of the total cost of the demolition at this location. And whereas in order to proceed with the demolition, the city of Lowell must authorize the city manager to enter into a negotiated memorandum of understanding with the Portuguese American Civic League of Lowell, attached hereto and marked A, to accept the payment in the amount of $18,789.50 and appropriate these funds for the demolition of 520 and 522 to 524 Central Street, Lowell. If there's no objection, second reading by title. In City Council vote authorizing the city manager to execute a memorandum of understanding with the Portuguese American Civic League of Lowell relative to the demolition of property located at 520 and 522 to 524 Central Street in the city of Lowell. Council Mercia.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just want to comment on this vote. This is unbelievable because we've been waiting so very long. I don't know how many of us brought this motion up time and time again, at least maybe 5 of us. This is unbelievable because the building is in such disrepair, and trying to be a neat neighbor, and the Portuguese Civic League owns half of that building. They actually repaired it so well that even though it should be demolished, they wanted it to look nice for the neighborhood, so they fixed up their side. But actually, they wanted it torn down, so I'm so happy, and they must be too, so thank you very much.
Thank you. Motion by Councilman Mendonça, second by Councilman Mendonça.
Yeah, I'll echo those comments. I mean, it's been over a year since we voted to demolish this building, so I'm glad to see this move forward. I want to thank the city manager's office and the law department for working out this agreement with the club that's wanted it down for even longer than that because of the fire that occurred there some time ago. It just wasn't structurally sound, but it was complicated because there's multiple owners of the building, and so I'm glad to see this move forward, and I'm sure everybody on that street will be happy to see this torn down as soon as practicable.
Thank you. Council Caulfield.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I brought these motions in many, many times, and I'm very happy to see that building that is deteriorating, and it should be demolished. And I want to thank the Portuguese American Civic League for contributing half of the funds to have it demolished. So it's a win-win situation for the entire neighborhood and the Portuguese American Civic League.
Thank you. So we have a motion by Councilman Mendonça, second by Councilman Mercia. Any other questions, comments? Roll call.
Councilor Murphy?
Yes.
Councilor Broderick?
Yes.
Councilor Caulfield?
Yes.
Councilor Dakota?
Yes.
Councilor Elliott?
Yes.
Counselor Martin?
Yes.
Counselor Mendonça?
Yes.
Counselor Mercier?
Yes.
Mayor Milonazo?
Yes.
9 yeas.
Thank you. The next item on the agenda, let me just say, for the information to my colleagues, this actually came about as a result of a letter that we received from a young lady who I believe is here in the audience this evening, Mary O'Flaherty, who was concerned with a street over in Pawtucketville. So as a result of that letter, we have this issue before us. So I just want to thank her for reaching out to the city and bringing this to our attention. In City Council order pursuant to Chapter 266 of the Code of Ordinances, City of Lowell, concerning Section 266-6 thereof entitled Temporary Experimental Regulations, temporary traffic regulations are hereby implemented for a period of 60 days. Whereas the City of Lowell desires to make temporary rules regulating traffic under actual conditions for a period of 60 days, and whereas Chapter 266 of the Code of Ordinances, City of Lowell, Section 266-6 thereof entitled Temporary Experimental Regulations authorizes the City Council to make such temporary rules for a period not to exceed 60 days. Now therefore be it ordered, adjudged, and decreed by the City Council of the City of Lowell as follows. Effective immediately for a period of 60 days thereafter, the following temporary traffic regulations shall be implemented. Section 266-47, stop intersections, is hereby amended by adding the following. Stop sign on University Avenue, east and west, at the intersection of 7th Avenue. Section 266-55, parking for handicapped persons, elderly drop-off zones. In order to accommodate the needs of handicapped persons, they are hereby set aside and reserved for persons having V or HP license plates, as well as temporary handicap parking permits. The following parking spaces is hereby amended by adding the following. Gate Street, number 90, on the east side, beginning at a point 198 feet north of the northerly curb line of Sheldon Street, running northerly along Gate Street for a distance of 20 feet. There's no objection, second reading by title. In City Council order pursuant to Chapter 266 of the Code of Ordinances in City of Lowell concerning Section 266-6 thereof entitled Temporary Experimental Regulations, temporary traffic regulations are hereby implemented for a period of 60 days. The letter that Mary O'Flaherty sent to us had to do with the University and 7th Street intersection. So again, thank you very much. What's the wish of the council?
Move approval.
Move approval by Council Mercier, second by Council Elliott.
Would she like to speak, or
Would you like
the
to?
parents, or?
Yeah, no, but,
Come on up.
yeah. Government in action, thank you very much.
Hi.
Hi.
I'm Mary, and my sister got in an accident, and I got really worried about her, and so I just wanted to send a message to let people know how dangerous that intersection can be.
Great, thank you, Mary, very much. Thank you. Thank you for being here. Roll call on the order, please.
Counselor Murphy?
Yes.
Counselor Broderick?
Yes.
Counselor Caulfield?
Yes.
Counselor Dakota?
Yes.
Counselor Elliott?
Yes.
Counselor Martin?
Yes.
Counselor Mendonça?
Yes.
Counselor Mercier?
Yes.
Mayor Milonazo?
Yes.
9 yeas.
Thank you. Next item, in City Council vote, authorizing the city manager to lease 11 parking spaces in the Leo A. Roy Municipal Parking Facility to the United States government. Whereas the City of Lowell is the owner of the Leo A. Roy Municipal Parking Facility situated on Market Street in said city, and whereas the United States government is desirous of leasing 11 parking spaces in said Roy Municipal Parking Facility for use by its United States Armed Forces Recruiting Office located at 101 Middle Street in said city, now therefore be it voted by the City Council of the City of Lowell as follows. That the city manager be, and he is hereby authorized, empowered, and directed in the name and on behalf of the City of Lowell to enter into a lease agreement with the United States government for 11 parking spaces at the rate of $64 per month per space in the Roy Municipal Parking Facility for the period which commences October 1st, 2011 and terminating September 30th, 2012, with annual rent in the sum of $8,448. Said lease agreement shall be in the form of substantially the form attached hereto. It is hereby further voted that the lease agreement shall contain such other terms and conditions as the city manager deems to be in the best interest of the City of Lowell. Second reading by title, in City Council vote, authorizing the city manager to lease 11 parking spaces in the Leo A. Roy Municipal Parking Facility to the United States government. What's the wish of the council? Move approval by Councilor Martin, seconded by Councilor Dakota. Roll call.
Councilor Murphy?
Yes.
Councilor Broderick?
Yes.
Councilor Caulfield?
Yes.
Councilor Dakota?
Yes.
Councilor Elliott?
Yes.
Councilor Martin?
Yes.
Councilor Mendoza?
Yes.
Councilor Mercier?
Yes.
Mayor Milonazo?
Yes.
9 yeas.
Next item, in city council vote, authorizing the city manager to execute a new memorandum of agreement between the Greater Lowell Workforce Investment Board and the city of Lowell. Whereas the city in 2003 took back control of the Career Center of Lowell and made its employees city employees, and whereas a new 5-year memorandum of agreement defines the role of the Greater Lowell Workforce Investment Board, the CCL, and the city of Lowell, and whereas the new memorandum of agreement attached here to marked A has provisions for the above and also requires CCL to follow the fiscal management and audit systems of the city, and that all funds received by the Greater Lowell Workforce Investment Board and CCL shall be accounted for as grant funds. Now therefore be it voted by the City Council of the City of Lowell as follows: that the city manager be and is hereby authorized to execute the attached memorandum of agreement with the Greater Lowell Workforce Investment Board for a 5-year period. Second reading by title. In City Council vote, authorizing the city manager to execute a new memorandum of agreement between Greater Lowell Workforce Investment Board and the City of Lowell. What's the wish of the council? Move approval by Council Caulfield, second by Council Broderick. Roll call.
Councilor Murphy?
Yes.
Councilor Broderick?
Yes.
Councilor Caulfield?
Yes.
Councilor Dakota?
Yes.
Councilor Elliott?
Yes.
Councilor Martin? Councilor Mendoza?
Yes.
Councilor Mercier?
Yes.
Mayor Milonazo?
Yes.
8 yeas, 1 absent.
Thank you. We have a number of subcommittee reports this evening. The first one is the Ad hoc Clerk Oversight Subcommittee. The chair recognizes Councilor Mendoza.
Yes, the Clerk Oversight Subcommittee met on Thursday, October 27th at 5:30. Present were myself, Councilor Martin, and Councilor Mercer of the subcommittee. Also present was Mayor Milonazo, and others present were our auditor, Cheryl Wright, from the administration, Tom Moses, and our acting clerk, Eric Slagle. We got an update on some of the improvements that have been taking place in the office. I won't go in order, but I'll just hit the highlights. He told us that one of the things that'll have to be improved is the ethics training that's going to go on. And because everyone's required to renew that every 2 years, they're just going to begin a database going forward as the first step. Because the last time it was done was at the end of 2009. So it's time, the 2 years is coming up, that everyone's going to have to go through the training again that's online and get certified, and then they're going to record that. And that's for city employees, city councilors, all board and commissions. They'll all have to go through that. And through that process, as they complete it, we will become compliant with the recording of who has completed the ethics training. Along those lines, there's also been improvements being made as far as the open meeting law is concerned, and more specifically with meeting notices and the recording of minutes. There's a little bit more detail in the minutes now in order to comply with the open meeting law, and the subcommittee minutes, as we had this evening, and now being brought forth to the entire council to approve, so that we know that those minutes are being kept, and then it will be archived. We also discussed a little bit about the preservation of some of the records, and additional research is going to be done, but it appears that the things that are deteriorating and not necessarily the records that are required to be kept over a long period. In other words, birth certificates, death certificates, and marriage certificates, things of that nature, they're in good working order and they're being filed properly. What was deteriorating is the index they use to look up and to keep track of amendments. Going forward, if we can archive that on a computer, the computer can find those things for us, so the search can be done that way, rather than going through 300 at a time of birth certificates to find the one you're looking for. The computer can do the search. But previous to that, they were using an index to record in the book so that on a single page they had many that they could easily scan and find what they were looking for, and any references to amendments, which was what's important. So those are some of the improvements that are going on. We had also discussed previously the cash that was kept in the office and giving receipts for any funds that were received. And that had already been put in place. There were receipts. They are keeping track of the cash and reporting it to the treasurer's office on a regular basis. We had a motion from the subcommittee by Councilor Martin, seconded by Councilor Mercier, that to provide additional oversight of that function, that we ask the auditor to do an unannounced check of the cash and the receipts, the numbers, to make sure everything was in order, and that be done at least quarterly, but it is unannounced, so we don't want it to be done once a quarter and then think that it's safe that it won't happen again until next quarter. It could happen multiple times. That'll be entirely up to the auditor. And that when that occurs, that the auditor will report to the council in the way of a communication what occurred and what the results were. And so that's the motion from the subcommittee. As a first step, we're continuing to review items from the report, and we're going to get more information as far as, well, I should state that we did receive a handout from Mr. Moses comparing our staffing in the office to other cities, about 10 or 13 communities. And we took that to review, and we'll be looking at it further in the future. Right now, it looks like we have the same staffing relative to other communities our size. So we'll have to take a harder look at that as to whether we can change any staffing or look at the hours of operation and see if we can free up some time for the clerks in the office to do some of the other things that need to be done to improve the operation of the office. So at the moment, that's the report of progress. Any of my colleagues that were there wish to add, that would be fine. But we do have that motion that I would like to bring forward now.
Okay. Councilor Mercier?
He covered it all.
Okay.
Nothing more to say. Motion to accept the report is a report of progress.
By Councilor Mercier, seconded by Councilor Martin. Any further discussion?
And we have the recommendation for the full council to take up.
Correct. The full council will be taking up specifically the issue of the...
Having the auditor do a
correct.
spot check at least quarterly.
Correct.
Yeah, well, that's the short version of it.
Okay. Councilor Caulfield.
Just some clarification on, is that just the clerk's office or every department?
I believe that
Our motion is limited to the clerk's office because that was our purview. It could be extended. I mean, this could be a model for other departments that handle small
any
amounts of
department
cash.
right, handle small amounts.
I think that's the way it should be. You should pick out one department.
Okay.
I mean, if it makes more sense, I don't know with the recording for the open meeting law, we're going to have the minutes probably at the next meeting.
then we can amend the
we
minutes
could
at
approve that motion as part of those minutes. I'm not sure what's most appropriate.
Okay. Why don't we have a roll call on that, on accepting the report as a report of progress, plus the motion relative to the auditor's office going in to spot check, at least initially in the clerk's office, but as Councilor Caulfield said, any department that does handle small amounts of cash.
You know, you're pointing a finger at one department, and it's not right.
Well, I understand. Roll call.
Councilor Murphy?
Yes.
Councilor Broderick?
Yes.
Councilor Caulfield?
Yes.
Councilor Dakota?
Yes.
Councilor Elliott?
Yes.
Councilor Martin?
Yes.
Councilor Mendonça?
Yes.
Councilor Mercier?
Yes.
Mayor Milonazo?
Yes.
9 yeas.
Thank you. The next report is from the Finance Subcommittee. They met this evening. Chair recognizes Councilor Elliott.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The Finance Subcommittee meeting met this evening to discuss the Lowell Economic Advancement Program that was referred to it, which carves out money from the city's cash portfolio for potential investment in local banks. The city manager and Mr. Moses went through the intent of this program, essentially carving out some of the city investments that are in other banks right now, and giving the opportunity to other local banks to apply and consider managing this program, essentially taking the city money and lending it out to local home or local people, local businesses, people in the community. Some concerns that were raised, clearly there are some additional requirements in this program with the banks that were raised by members of the subcommittee, myself, as well as Councilor Mercier. But the motion was to move forward to adopt this and to adopt this program and give local banks the opportunity to apply for additional. I'm not sure if apply is the right word. There is some criteria that they have to meet in order to be eligible for this. So the motion was to bring that forward for approval to the entire city council. There was also some discussion about bringing up other issues, and I just want to clarify, Mr. Manager, that the motion does reference, and I'll read it, and it's from Councilor Murphy, manager CFO provide council with annual report referenced in city investment policy analysis of potential percentage preference for local banks. So, you know, I wasn't bringing anything that wasn't in this report to the subcommittee. So, but the second part, so that was a motion, Mr. Manager. I know we want to vote on it. The other issue was to have a discussion on, in more detail on banking issues and investments and the processes. So, but I'm not sure if, I guess it was put in the form of a motion that we meet again. So those are the two motions before us.
Thank you. The first motion is to have the full council accept the plan as presented by the administration. Motion by Councilor Elliott, seconded by Councilor Mendonça. Any further discussion? Want to ask for a roll call?
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, Councilor Murphy, I'm sorry.
I just wanted to clarify the concerns about the reporting requirements, because as I stated at the subcommittee, those were really put in place to ensure that the intent of my original motion had been met, which is that, you know, after you meet those standards of the requirements of, you know, safety, liquidity, and yield, that there is another aspect to having the money invested in local banks, and that is the greater multiplier effect throughout the local economy. And in order to ensure that that is met, you really do need those reporting requirements to see that that money is not, you know, for example, leaving to being contributed to other communities, but is contributed here to local small businesses. And so I think it is an important addition to that in making sure that the policy is really carried out. And I commend our CFO, Tom Moses, for continuing to work on this for a number of months with the Treasurer's Office to come up with something, I think, that's fairly creative on the local level. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else on the motion? Roll call. The motion is to accept the recommendation of the administration to implement the report. I actually don't have it in front of me, so could someone tell me the name of it again?
LEAP.
LEAP, okay.
LEAP.
LEAP, the LEAP program. Roll call.
Councilor Murphy?
Yes.
Councilor Broderick?
Yes.
Councilor Caulfield?
Yes.
Councilor Dakota?
Yes.
Councilor Elliott?
Yes.
Councilor Martin?
Present.
Councilor Mendonça?
Yes.
Councilor Mercier? Mayor Milanazzo?
Present.
Okay.
7 yeas, 2 present.
7 yeas, 2 present.
Thank you. Motion to accept the report of the Finance Subcommittee is a report of progress by Councilor Broderick, seconded by Councilor Dakota. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, it's a vote. I don't believe there are any other subcommittee reports this evening. Moving on, we have a wire inspector report of National Grid for one pole location on Hildreth Street. Motion to accept the report and the accompanying order by Councilor Broderick, seconded by Councilor Martin. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, it's a vote. Thank you. Moving on to the motions. First motion is by Councilor Mercia. Motion, City Council requests the city manager have the proper department repair the steps in front of the old health department in the JFK Plaza. Numerous injuries. Second by Councilor Caulfield. Councilor
Yes,
Mercia.
thank you, Mr. Mayor. The motion more or less speaks for itself. I think we know where that is. Right when you go into the JFK Plaza, it's to the right. At the very beginning, there are 3 steps. They're granite slabs. The slabs tended to move. I don't know how we can push it back, but they're very uneven, and someone very recently was taken away in an ambulance because the step was just not right. So
Okay.
I think we need to address that. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further discussion on the motion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, to vote. Next motion by Councilor Mercia. Motion, City Council requests the city manager have the traffic engineer institute a 60-day trial for 2 adjacent no parking handicap drop-off Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. signs at Community Family, 236 Broadway Street on the Adams Street side of the building. Second by Councilor Caulfield.
Yes, thank you,
Councilor
Mr. Mayor. This sounds so confusing. There's no doubt about it. Again, I also want to, and it's probably not on the agenda, I can't thank him, but I did make a previous motion similar to this, and it was taken care of. I'm thrilled about that. This is the address, 236 Broadway Street, when in fact the door of entrance is adjacent to Adams Street. So that's why I need this 2 signs aside of it. If they go to the Community Family, which sits in the same parking lot as the senior center, then if the Eric Eby goes inside and talks to them, they would show him exactly where they want it. Or he could give me a call and I'll be happy to show him as well. Every time they're coming to drop off people at the Community Family and they have to take them out of the vans in wheelchairs, there's always cars parked there, and that's so bad because they have to double park in the street. The street is narrow to begin with. I'm hoping people realize that there's no parking during that time. Now, if it were a Saturday or Sunday or after 4, people are welcome to park there, so that's why we specified the time. Thank you. I would help
Thank you.
whoever needs to know where it is.
Any further discussion on the motion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, to vote. Next motion by Councilor Elliott. Motion, City Council requests the city manager, city solicitor get an opinion from the Ethics Commission on hiring process of treasurer. Seconded by Councilor Caulfield. Before I recognize Councilor Elliott, let me just mention that the administration, it's my understanding, has an update. So I don't know if Councilor Elliott wants to speak first or hear from the administration. It's entirely up to Councilor Elliott since you're the maker of the motion.
Sure, from the administration.
Who from the administration would like to respond?
We'll defer to Mr. Moses.
I've started the process already. I called the ethics department today. They haven't gotten back to me yet. I know these things sometimes take a while, and I'm awaiting their response.
Councilor Elliott.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Moses. I appreciate that. That it was after last week's meeting. And let me just say, I commend you for your conversation, and I only heard it on the radio, that you did disclose this relationship with the city manager. But after that, I did go and on the State Ethics Commission's website and read Section 23B. Section 23B, subsection 3, appearance of conflict of interest, and this is why, the reason why I filed the motion. I just want to make sure everything is above board. People at home would like to know that things are above board as well. I also took the liberty of calling the State Ethics Commission, and I was told they don't give advice for unless you are the individual, so that which led me to proceed with this. It's either advice, legal advice, or it's a complaint. So And so that's the reason why I filed the motion.
Thank you. The fact that Mr. Moses did call the Ethics Commission, I don't believe we need to take action on this motion because it's actually is being done.
That's fine, Mr. Mayor. My only concern is once an action is taken by the individual, it's between the individual and the Ethics Commission, which is the law. And I'm not trying to violate the law, but I wonder if Mr. Moses would release that information once it is made available, because there's no way for us, and legally so. So, the intent is to find out if everything is above board, that's all. So do you have any objection to that, Mr. Moses? And it might take a while, I understand that.
I think I'll cross that bridge when I come to it.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you. So I'm going to just set this aside for now. Thank you. Next motion is by Councilor Elliott. Motion, request the City Council adopt residency requirement for city employees similar to the City of Boston's ordinance. Seconded by Councilor Caulfield. Councilor Elliott.
Thank you. It was December of last year that myself and Councilor Dakota filed a joint motion regarding residency requirements. And we got a report back from the city manager in the interest of compromise. What was, there was some options, some suggestions as to how we could try to accomplish this with I think there were some reservations on it, but I still firmly believe, and there was a preference given to local candidates, but honestly, in light of the recent hires, I believe then, and I believe now, that we are a city of 100,000 people. We have a workforce of 100,000. There's unemployment at between 9 and 10%, and I believe that we have the caliber of people in the city that we should be hiring. Now, given that, the city of Boston, I put city of Boston because they are one of the communities a community that has a residency requirement. They've had for 35 years, and the mayor's been quoted in the past saying that it's successful, it's good for the city, and I happen to agree. So I did have one question, Mr. Manager. There was a line item put in place of $7,500. What is the status, or have any employees taken advantage of that $7,500 for additional training? Any new promotions?
We have a program that we're running right now. Actually, we advised the council some time ago in a report that we were working with the Collins Center out of UMass Boston to run a professional development program for us. It's ongoing. We have about 25. I believe we actually gave a report to the council on that as well. I know we issued a press release on that too, and I don't recall seeing that yet in the paper. But we do have a program. A wide variety of employees took advantage of the program. In fact, more subscribed to it than we were able to make available. But almost every department is represented. We have some lower level people, as well as some a little bit higher that want to move up that next step. And the reviews that I've received so far have been very positive. Teaching basic leadership skills. They've done some work on municipal finance that I know they found very interesting. They had some one of their first sessions was just understanding the form of government, going through the various forms of government that exist here in the Commonwealth. And they have a variety of other programs, communication skills that are, I know that's going to be another segment. So quite a bit is already taking place on that, and it's very, very positive so far.
So as a result of the training, because the intent was to give Lowellians an opportunity for promotions, for advancements, has that taken place at this point? Nobody's...
The training is 3 weeks in at this point. We just got the funding back in July. We began it in October with a contract with the Collins Center, and
okay,
so
that's fair. That makes sense, and I think that As I thought about this motion, that could be in addition to the requirement. And I don't have, there's nothing specific, but I think we could adopt something like the City of Boston, and it's good for the community. There are great homes in the city. You know, the list goes on and on. There is a lot to like about Lowell, and I hear from people, I've heard from folks, I've gotten phone calls and emails asking about this, where is it? And so that's why I want to bring it forward. I firmly believe that's a good thing for the city, particularly for our department heads. I understand, you know, some employees may not even be able to afford a home, but at the least, I think that, A, we adopt it and give people an opportunity similar to the City of Boston. They have an opportunity to move here, and I have friends that have had to move into the City of Boston to live there, and that was a requirement, and they were fine with that. So that's the purpose of the motion, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Elliott. Anyone else on the motion? Councilor Mendonça?
Well, I'm not prepared to adopt this right now. I mean, if we want to bring in that, well, what Boston has as an ordinance and review it in the Personnel Subcommittee, I'm fine with that. But I am concerned that, you know, what we do, others may do. And we have plenty of people who live in Lowell that are working in other communities. I mean, we even have had a city manager of another community, more than one, that lives in Lowell. Now, if they did the same thing, those people that have a very high-paying job, living in Lowell, spending their money in Lowell, paying their taxes in Lowell, may be forced to move to that other community to keep their employment. And, I mean, that can be very difficult. It sounds easy on the surface, but what if we want to hire someone who has children in high school? Are they going to have to yank their family out of the community that they've become accustomed to in order to get their services? I don't think that's necessarily appropriate, and we could lose as much as we gain in the long run. It just sounds good on the surface, but I think we're not considering the long-term consequences of what this could do if other communities around us did the same thing. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else on the motion? Councilor Caulfield.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I wasn't going to speak on this, but Councilman Donza's remarks I'm compelled to. The Boston Ordinance has been in existence 25, 30 years, Mr. Manager. I don't know if anyone else is coming forward with an ordinance. I haven't heard of any. Lowell has brought this up many times. The city of Lowell is the largest employer in the city. Name me one business that hires more people than the city of Lowell. 50% of them drive out of Lowell every night with high salaries. And I think the intent of the motion is if you're gonna work for the city of Lowell, then it should be good enough to live in as well. And as Councilor Elliott indicated, there's some beautiful homes here. The city of Lowell is a great place to live, to educate your children, and to work in. And if it is, then it should be good enough for the employees who could live here. And that's my feelings. I mean, there's many people, Mr. Mayor, who drive out of this city every night making a good salary. Thank you.
Councilor Broderick.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I think it would be a good idea. I'd like to see the ordinance as well, and maybe refer it to the Personnel Subcommittee, some subcommittee. I think there's good things to say on both sides, and but one of the, I think, reasons that initially they had residency requirements is that people live in the community where they work. I think some of that is not as critical now in terms of with been a long day, with the advances in technology. So it's not as difficult to get a hold of people and to find out what's going on and to see what's actually happening. I do understand the rationale of hiring people in the city and keeping people employed. But I think that can also be offset with the fact that, the city's not an employment agency. We owe it to all of the 106,000 people, 104,000 people to hire the best we can. Now, having said that, I think there should be some type of very strong preference. I guess, after having said all that, I would like to see the ordinance, because my understanding is there's a lot of exceptions as well. And, I think that we ought to take this slow if we want to seriously consider it and analyze it. Thank you.
To the maker of the motion, are you okay with this being referred to the Personnel Subcommittee, or you?
Yeah, that's fine, that's fine. I just had one more question.
Yeah.
Mr. Manager, since December of last year, has anybody been hired in the city, or has anybody been hired from outside the city that's moved in?
I don't have that information. We've hired people from inside the city, I know that. Whether we've had people that have hired and moved in, anecdotally, I think I know a couple that have done that, but offhand, I don't have the specifics.
Thank you.
Thank you. So we're going to move in substitution by Councilor Mendonça, seconded by Councilor Broderick, that the issue of the residency requirement be referred to the Personnel Subcommittee, and we will get a copy of the City of Boston ordinance to bring before the Personnel Subcommittee. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, it's a vote. Thank you. The last motion of the evening by Councilor Murphy. Motion, City Council requests the city manager explore Bank on Lowell initiative in partnership with local nonprofits, banks, and credit unions to provide access to low or no-cost financial services and education for un- or underbanked families. Second by Councilor Broderick. Councilor Murphy.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And I know that a lot of the banks and financial institutions, credit unions, do quite a bit of work on their own in the community as far as financial education and that sort of thing. But this is a program that began in San Francisco and has been able to move thousands and thousands of people into checking accounts. People who spend a substantial amount of their income on things like check cashing services and Western Union pawn shops, sometimes 15 to 20% of their income, which is pretty low to begin with. And so I think this is a good time to both protect the poor from these types of institutions, but also from the predatory lending practices of our more national banks, with all the fees and back-ended fees that tend to really affect the poor disproportionately. And so that if we can work with the local banks to come up with a similar program that's been replicated in a number of other cities, I think it would be a substantial benefit to people, and who could then have the chance at least to set aside savings for things like whether it's housing or as simple as a second-hand car to get to work. So, thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Murphy. Any further discussion on the motion? All those in favor of the motion signify by saying, Councilor Martin.
Present.
Signify by saying aye. Councilor Martin and I will both be recorded as present. Motion carries. Thank you. Anything else to come before us? Motion to adjourn by Councilor Broderick, seconded by Councilor Mercia. All those in favor, we stand adjourned. Thank you all very much.